Hello, and welcome to episode 39, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for once I got it
39.
correct on a first go-around. Episode 39, and this is our 2-year anniversary special. I said on the Shadow Call podcast last week I thought we were doing the British bands episode. Nope, that's next episode. But it's the 2-year anniversary special where we're just basically hanging out, shooting the shit. But before we get into everything, right up above me, you can't see his lovely mug, Artur.
Hello.
And then up there on that corner is Ricky.
Yellow.
And then right next to me, the always beautiful Hannah.
Zero miedo!
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Where's the
Oh,
Where's the Pentagon mask when you need it?
I don't know.
mm,
Somewhere in Mexico.
But yeah, it's 2-year anniversary spectacular.
We should celebrate that with a little bit of the bubbly.
Oh god! If only I had a little bit of the bubbly. It probably
don't
wake
have
my
it
ass
here.
up a little bit. Yeah, the reason why I look kind of like shit right now is because I've only been awake for about an hour. And my eyes haven't gotten bigger. They still look like I'm some sort of Asian. I don't know. Yeah, every morning when I get up out of bed, my eyes for a while are like this, and it makes me look like I'm part Asian.
maybe you are.
Next
You never
thing you
know.
I'm not.
Next thing you know, you're going to sing "Burn My Eyes" by Machine Head.
Hey, old Machine Head good. New Machine Head can kiss my ass. Yeah, Rob Flynn, you can kiss my ass, you SJW fuck.
And add Al Jurgens and add Ministries Al Jurgensen to it.
Yeah. But anyways, so figured for this episode we'll take some questions from you guys in the chat, or if Ricky got any questions from any buddies in advance, we could answer some and talk about the future of the show.
Yeah. So let's start. Let's start with when I think a question we've been asked before, but being the 2-year anniversary, I think we should tell people how this all came about.
So for those who are new watching this podcast, basically how this show started was all four of us used to be active in the Banger TV Lockhorns live stream chats,
And Raphael.
Heavy regulars.
dubbed the Four Horsemen.
The original Four Horsemen was Artur,
Wasn't.
myself, Delicious Dishes, and Raphael. The original Four Horsemen. After that, of course, Anna and Levi joined in, and we exchanged Facebooks and all that. And lo and behold, we're
Here
here.
we are, yeah. 2 years later doing this show, and I feel like I've lost brain cells thanks to Ricky and his typical, you know what I mean.
I know. I'm not gonna say it yet.
Well, you already did before we started streaming, so...
Well, yeah, but I always say that because I always like to torture you.
I know. And there went Artur, and now he's back.
Oh no, there he is. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, who would have thought we would have been here 2 years?
Time
Yeah.
flying by.
No regret.
Mm-hmm.
No regrets.
Or as the Snickers commercial says, no regrets.
Or
I mean,
as in,
Regrets.
go ahead, Anna. You were gonna say something?
Yeah, and I mean, now we have something in common. Each one of us
Oh yeah.
Go grab it.
There you go. We can't see you, Artur.
Ah, man, my camera just...
Yeah, Artur's camera does not want to cooperate.
Every time,
No,
it's
it
like
does not.
it's funny when before we film, his camera works. When we start filming, it just like.
Like,
It
it's
died.
like, nope, we don't want your face to be shown on video. Fuck off.
Yeah, but all 5 of us, after
Fuck
a long
you
time,
very
we
much.
finally have our patch.
Finally.
It took a while, but we have it.
Yeah.
It took what,
Well-
almost like what, a year?
Yeah, I
Around
mean, they've been here in Germany for quite a while, but shipping made it a bit difficult. But I luckily outsmarted the German Post.
Oh god, and then right before we started recording or streaming, the stories Hannah told us about.
No.
Oh.
I can't tell them officially, so I'm sworn to secrecy.
Oh, boy.
Well, shit.
Yes.
Oh man, it was crazy. Those stories. Oh my god. I think I'm gonna have nightmares for the rest of my life.
Well, a top tip from Germany, if you really want to be working in a very adventurous environment, start delivering packages.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh man. But and since it's been a little while, quite a while since all 4 of us have been together for an episode. God, when was the last episode we were all together? Episode 37. But I'm
yeah,
trying to
37.
remember what topic it was.
Cover.
Oh yeah,
There
I think
was-
Agalok.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
Agalok.
The
Yeah, that
mental
was-
discussion.
Yeah, that was the last episode all 4 of us were together. Then Ricky and I had to wing the band logos, in which there was so much technical difficulties on Ricky's end. Like, it was like he decided to return to being the lagger for one night.
Which is weird. I'm not lagging anymore. I don't know why that happens.
I don't
Now
know.
the problem is all on my end.
Yeah, now Artur's the lagger. Well, not him himself. His camera is the lagger.
Mm-hmm.
My cell phone doesn't want to cooperate.
That's why you should invest in a webcam.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I try right now doing it on my laptop, and for some weird reason, like you can't hear me on my laptop, which is kind of weird. It's so like, oh no, I need to figure this out again.
Yeah. But another question I have, since we're getting close to the end of the year, finally, and with a bunch of albums being out this year, favorite album of the year so far? For me,
Oh.
I figured Hannah was going to say Ulver. For me, I haven't listened to much new stuff this year. I need to get caught up on so much this year. But out of the albums I've heard this year, my favorite is the new Defeated Sanity album. Progressive, brutal death metal with technicality that I just love. And there's
Now we
Artur's
can see
lovely
you.
mug.
This is number 2. This is number 2 for sure. The new Horn album.
It's not a bad album.
For me, I have like 3-4 albums that could be number one. The first one being
Ulver, agree it, admit it. Ulver.
let me get to the others and then I'll talk about Ulver. First one, On Thor's and Life by Trenos. I've been cranking this up for the past, ever since it came out in March. And if you like death stew with melodic progressive, you'll like it, especially since it was produced by the one, the only Dan Swano, which a lot of Dan Swano fans will listen to anything he produces. So check them out. And the other one hasn't come out yet. It comes out in October, if I can speak, in mid-October. but I got an early copy of it, which is from another Dev's Doom solo project called Rise to the Sky, with Dave's second album, Death Will Keep Us Apart. It's one of those albums that, as more I listen to it, the more it gets better. And like I said, this comes out in October, so get it on Bandcamp while you can. And then there's Over. I talked to Hannah 2 days ago about Over.
Oh, yes.
And for the first time this year, I was utterly shocked. I was shocked because I, for the life of me, did not know it was going to be this good.
It is.
It is good to the point that
It's addictive.
It's very addictive. I've listened to it probably already 50 times this week. It's only been out a week already. But the more I listen to it, the better it gets. The better it gets. The more I like it. The more I like it, the more I want to get the fucking CD, which it's already sold out. I don't want to pay $50 on eBay to get just a copy. I'd rather wait to the second pressing. But oh man, Over completely caught me off guard. So there's a chance it could be really high.
Especially Machine Guns and Peacock Feathers. That song. That fucking song.
Sword, machine guns, flowers,
and peacock feathers.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh man, that song just stuck in my head.
For me, when I get a chance, I'll listen to Over, but My Dying Brides is definitely going to be on the list.
Yeah, for me, I forgot about My Dying Bride. For sure, My Dying Bride's gonna be on the list.
I mean, this is more of an honorable mention, but Encephalum, which has been a very good album, since I tend to lean more on the folk side. But so far, and despite what everyone says, Ozzy, Ordinary Man is going to be on the list.
I mean, it's a great album. I'll probably put Ozzy as an honorable mention. I mean, it's still a kick-ass album, even though it could potentially be his last one.
Yeah.
Potentially, and especially when he sings that old "I don't want to die an ordinary man." I'm sorry, but if on the sad songs, "Ordinary Man" is going to be on that list.
And it's a ballad, kind of my thing.
Yeah.
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 But if I have to say, I mean, just out of my head, Ozzy is on the list. Surprisingly, Poppy is going to be on the list too. I do like the I Disagree album. Kiri Thungal might be on the list too. Paradise Lost, obviously.
I need to check out Paradise Lost.
The Obsidian.
Surprisingly, Paradise Lost? No, not for me. I mean, I liked it, but no.
And on the honorable mentions list, I'm going to put Karakangren.
Oh, for me, another one that will be on the list for sure is the new Igor record. I love that thing to death. I've much like with Ulvar, I've listened to it so often and I love it so much. It's so catchy and weird in a way.
And then if I had to choose surprise album for me, like an album that I went into not thinking a whole lot was going to be that good, but the new Sepultura album, probably their best album since Chaos AD, considering more thrash back into the mix, and also Derek Green delivering his best vocal performance on any Sepultura album since he joined after Roots came out. And yeah, there were some songs on there that kind of reminded me of like Modern Creator, Modern Sodom, in terms of the speed and the aggression. Yeah, there were a couple songs I had that. There are very few bands that can pull off the B-flat guitar tuning without sounding terrible. To me, that's just my least favorite guitar tuning of any kind of music, because only very few bands can make it sound good. Like Trivium, Nevermore, those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head who can make it sound good. But a couple of the tracks on there with that tuning weren't bad, but anything else that was in standard or D standard was very, very good, especially the closing track, Fear, Hate, Pain, and Suffering. And especially the opening riff, it kind of reminded me of Unforgiven 3 by Metallica, which was really cool.
I mean, one album that I wasn't expecting anything from it, but it turned out surprisingly good was, as I said, Poppy. I mean, I've heard about her, I've heard about her weirdness and such, but when she went on a more metal way, I wasn't gonna give any attention to it. And then she releases an album which I was very much surprised.
So yeah, there's some albums that we have yet to check out that could be surprising. Like I said, for me, it was Over.
Oh, and
Still can't believe it.
And there's still so many albums that came out in the first part of the year I haven't checked out yet. Like Testament, I haven't listened to Titans of Creation in its entirety yet.
Solitudes of Madness by Vader.
That too. And one that I saw Cover Killer Nation had in his top 20 that I was surprised to see in his top 20 best of the year so far, considering he's been not so kind to this band for 12 years. Trivium, What the Dead Man Say. I need to listen to that because I hear that's their best since Shogun. So I need to check out the new Trivium. I need to check out... Oh, and how could I forget Black Crown Initiate? I need to check that new album out, considering how much hype I give them. To my mind, the best progressive death metal band in America today. And I need to check out their new album. And if it's as good as their first two albums, it'll be up there. Maybe not in Europe, but in America, I consider them the best prog death metal band in America.
Because in a way in Europe, Opeth still owns the crown.
Even though they're not prog death anymore, but yeah.
Yeah.
Other albums I haven't checked out yet that I need to check out. God, I can't even remember all that's come out this year. Oh yeah, Unleash the Archers I need to check out, considering my buddy Scott's been doing reaction videos to each and every song and then doing a top 10 ranking of the album. So I need to check out Unleash the Archers. And we still got plenty of good stuff coming out for the remainder of the year. Hell, this month we've got Skeletal Remains, which I know, like I talked with Artur. That'd be something he'll really like, considering he's a big Martin Van Drunen fan, and the vocalist is a clone of Martin Van Drunen, and the music sounds a whole lot like early Pestilence. So thrashy death metal style.
For folk metal fans, and after, God, I mean, almost 10 years, the new Fintroll album is coming out.
Yep. Napalm Death, for those grindcore daddies, they're gonna have a new album for the first time in 5 years, and I'm definitely gonna check it out because I'm a big Napalm fan. October, we got quite a few good releases coming. Solstifier, Necrophobic, I'm looking forward to, considering that song Mirror Black is such a good melodic blackened death song. Kind of like Dissection a little bit. It's like Necrophobic went from early on being more of like a blackened version of like Dismember to now being more like old Dissection, kind of keeping that melodic blackened death style alive.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? So, even though it's not a full album, like it should have been released last month, because they delayed it, but an EP from Carcass. And it's funny. That EP...
And an EP from Ishan.
Yeah. And what's funny with the Carcass EP, it features songs that they felt weren't good enough to be on Torn Arteries. But the song they released recently, The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, was a killer song. I'm like, how is that not on the album? I guess sounds like their new album's going to be their best. if that's how they put it.
Better than Surgical Steel, better than
Hard
Symphonies of
Work.
Sickness and Hard Work. That's a heavy
That's a big
benchmark.
task. That's a big task, but if from what they said that the EP has songs that they felt weren't good enough to be on Torn Arteries, sounds like they made their best album ever.
Oh, and I forgot one that came out that I haven't listened yet, especially since I'm the folk guy here. Curse of the Crystal Coconut by Hailstorm.
Oh, I need to listen to Hailstorm.
Oh.
And I'm still trying to remember other albums that have come out this year that I am missing.
Devil Driver, Dealing with Demons.
Not a big Devil Driver guy.
Well, Black Crow Initiative, Violent Portraits.
Yeah.
Code Orange, maybe?
Yeah, Code Orange I need to check out.
Yeah, Code Orange.
Body Count's Carnivore.
Yes, Body Count. How can I forget Body Count? Especially considering there's a song on there that features Riley Gale, who recently passed. And Ice-T had been doing such a hell of a job at trying to keep the memory of Riley alive recently with, like, tributes he's done for him, considering they became close friends after working together on that song. And I'm a big Ice-T fan in general, not just for Body Count, but him on Law & Order SVU. I really like what he does on that show. So, but
And
yeah,
I
Body
think,
Count,
and I think I found
Carnivore.
another one. And I think I found another one for you that I gotta listen to. Ballistic Sadistic by Annihilator.
Oh yeah, that was actually a
Oh.
good album. Some of the songs were a little bit corny, but hey, I like corny stuff at times. So, yeah, the new Annihilator album's pretty good. Fuck, do I still even have my... Let me go onto my computer and see if I can find my list. Alright, I do have a list.
And I forgot
Oh yeah,
one
Demons
album
and
that
Wizards I forgot about. I haven't checked out Demons
3.
and Wizards yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Demons and
Yeah, I
Wizards.
forgot that
True.
one too.
Forgot that one too.
And I forgot an album that I know that's going to be on the list. And thank you, Reiki. If you hadn't told me, probably I wouldn't have listened. My Ashes of Life from Portugal.
Oh god, I just found...
And
Oh, go ahead.
And I know that a lot of promotion has been put on Guerrilla in Limbo. I mean, I've listened to Guerrilla. They're not bad, but they're not all the hype that many have been putting on.
And now that you brought up Ashes of Life, if anyone in Portugal is watching this, get Ashes of Life in Vagos, please. They're an upcoming band that deserves so much attention. They're a band.
Vagos has always put a lot of effort in promoting new and old school metal bands. I mean, The Occultist, that was very big. They're usually pretty good in terms of promoting newer Portuguese bands, and some of the old school metal bands as well. I mean, Vagos can be, but it cannot be played in the morning.
Of course,
not in the morning, but in the afternoon. But that's usually the time where most of the Portuguese metal bands tend to play, because in mid-afternoon, early evening, that's more the international acts.
But never, ever, ever again put Emperor and Behemoth in midday. Just no.
Vagos doesn't do that. Vagos puts the headliners at night.
Tell that to the guys at Wacken. They're stupid for doing that.
So I finally found my list that I made at the beginning of the year of what was coming out in the first half of the year, and oh god, there's so much that I had that I was looking forward to that I have yet to check out. Impiety, Midnight, Silosis, God Dethroned, Kvelertag, Psychotic Waltz, Body Count, My Dying Bride, Christian Munzner's new solo album, Code Orange, Thanatos, Temple of Void, Testament, Conception, Nightwish, Black Dahlia, Ulcerate, Warbringer, Trivium, Catatonia, Elder, Havoc, Vader, Lamb of God, Winter Filleth, Naglfar, Green Carnation, Paradise Lost, Sinister, Revenge, Karak Angren, Ailstorm, Gravedigger, Powerwolf. So much I need to get caught up on.
Powerwolf?
Yeah.
Powerwolf?
Powerwolf did not release a new album.
No, they're releasing the live album.
What, Best of the Blessed?
Yeah, it's a live album.
Yeah. Well, when I looked on his Metal Storm, it didn't say live album for some reason.
I was like, wait,
but point being, yeah, still a lot of big names I've yet to check out.
And you have time. You still have time to listen to everything before we do the albums of the year.
Yeah.
So you got time.
True.
So let's start. Let me get a question here. Let me get something good. Well, this is an interesting one. Who's the oldest and who's the youngest in the group?
Oh, well...
I'm the oldest.
And Ricky's the youngest.
Yeah. But technically, you want to go, I guess...
With all the guests we've had, Dylan Kamikaze would be the youngest.
Mm-hmm. Technically,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's Artur, and then I think it's you, Levi, and then Hannah Raphael in the middle, and then me. So I'm the baby of the group.
And just for reference, I just turned 26 last month, so there you go.
Yeah.
Second oldest. And then as far as like oldest guest we've had, it's Scott, who's in his mid-40s, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably the most female.
I mean, you're the only girls, but in the whole show. And yes, we've listened to you. We will try to get more females in the show if there's any females that want to get in the show.
It's great being the only chick. It's great.
I know, but like I know there's some of my friends who are girls.
Yeah.
That watch the show. They're like, I want to see. I know Hannah. I mean, they like you, but they like want to see at least one more person, like a special guest. I'm like, we're trying.
We try.
Trust me, we're trying. We've tried to contact a lot of people. Sometimes we get responses. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, and like hell, I even got to talk to Go Nilak about possibly getting him on the show, and oh my god, the amount of laughs we'd have with that, with that voice he has and the fucking humor, that'd be awesome.
I would probably let him roast me. I don't care. I'll let him roast me with that voice.
Yeah. But yeah, the biggest guest we've had by far is Cover Killer Nation on that prog metal episode, who we were supposed to have had on the Aglock episode, and he referenced it on a live stream he did recently that he completely forgot about it, and also he was doing other stuff that day. So, but the door's always open for him to come back on a different episode.
And 20 other guests that wants to join us.
Yeah. With Cover Killer Nation, I think there's one band that if we do, he needs to be in. Opus.
Yes.
For sure.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Opus. Because I know he loves Opus.
Just like I do too.
Or if we do Blackwater Park.
Yeah, the Blackwater Park episode, yeah. But that's so far in advance. That's so far in advance. It's gonna still be a while.
Yeah, that's still a lot, but it will happen.
Mm-hmm. Or we could always move things around to accommodate.
Yeah, like we moved stuff already. because being that December's coming up with album of the year, so we have to make some changes. And what were the changes, Hannah?
Well, the next episode after this one is going to be the top 10 British bands,
which I already have my list.
After that, top 10 Black Sabbath songs. And
that's going to be tough.
And the episode
that's going to be a tough one.
And the episode afterwards is going to be about our top 10 power metal bands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a big change. We added power metal to it.
Yeah.
And everything else is still the same.
Yes.
Yeah, I know at one point we're doing top 10 demos / EPs, which I already have my list
albums.
ready. Debut, I finally worked on that list.
Top 10 sad songs, top 10 Sabaton songs.
Top 10 albums of the 90s.
Yes. Then,
and also the discussion on Primordial, the Nameless Dead.
Yep.
Top 10 introduction or songs or album openers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got probably everything planned. If everything goes to plan, to probably mid-April.
Yeah, so we
2021,
basically have like 10 episodes or even more planned.
Yeah,
it's always good to
like
plan
said,
ahead while you are ahead.
and like I said, if you all want suggestions, we'll always take suggestions.
We'll always take a
band
suggestion
that you
for
like.
topics, and we can make some changes.
Yeah, I mean, there's some bands that we have yet to do. Like, I know one of these days we're gonna do My Swallow the Sun. I don't know when, but we're gonna do it.
And one big band we haven't done an episode on yet is Bathory, which I'm shocked that we haven't done a Bathory episode.
I'm shocked, but I think that we are going to do that one. Behemoth.
And Judas Priest. We have yet to do Judas Priest.
Yeah.
True.
But those are all, like I said, that's all in plan. We're gonna do them eventually. It'll take us time, but we will do them.
And if I may suggest a little format change, starting with the British bands, what I would really like to do is change how we do the top 10. Like, we'll one by one say our entire top 10, and then at the end we try and come together to create the definitive top 10 from all of our lists. We pick and choose what goes into the top 10, and it'd be the Horsemen Podcast approved list.
I mean, we could still do what we usually do, and then at the very end we could definitive, for
the
sure.
definitive 10 out of all of the ones we chose. We put it up on the list,
which will be most of the bands that we have in common.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It will be a good thing. And then I was suggesting this, like, in later episodes. How about in I think it was in that metal episode. Every episode, depending on the day it was aired, they would tell what happened on this certain date. Like, certain albums released certain days, certain artists were born this day, certain people died this day. I think it would kind of be a cool idea, like, what happened this day? Because now we're doing the episodes live, so it would be kind of cool to, say people, oh, they didn't know this album released on this day, or ta-ta-ta-ta, It would be kind of a cool idea just to add that.
Hmm. Yeah, there's always ideas brewing in our twisted minds.
Mm-hmm.
To quote a Possessed song.
All right, let's see another question. Let's see. Who has the most diversity when it comes to our list?
Oh. I mean, I'd like to think every one of us covers a wide spectrum of different genres in metal with our lists. I mean, and it all depends on our tastes. Like, if you ask me, my tastes are thrash, death, prog, old school metal. Where Hannah, she's more of the black metal, folk metal, atmospheric stuff, doom. She's more. But
then again, I'm everywhere from folk to synth pop to gothic.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
And Artur, he's more of the folk, power metal, old school death metal, Nuwabum style. And then Ricky. I honestly feel like when it comes to true diversity, I think Ricky is the guy because he goes everywhere.
Yeah, I second that.
Because, I mean, hell, on the band logos list, he had a wide spectrum of, like, black metal, death metal, gothic, old school metal, thrash, all over the place. To the point where he had to murder me by having AC/DC at 2, because I thought he'd have it at number 1, because that's his favorite band.
But then
this time, murder was not committed by me.
But then again, I think all of us have come up with quite a few surprises in the past.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and some at times very unorthodox choices. But I think the most unorthodox out of us is probably Raphael.
Picking Dimmu Borgir's best album of the decade.
Oh yeah.
Which even I was like, what?
Or Ricky's saying that
the Satanist was the best black metal album when it's closer to death metal.
I will always say it again. I was listening to black metal at the time, and Behemoth sounded so black metal. Don't confuse me, okay?
Blackened Death. More emphasis on the death.
That's true.
The layers of black metal are deep and vast.
And same
that's why I put
death metal's deep and vast too.
That's why I
perhaps
put it.
One could argue death metal is more deep and vast than anything else.
No,
don't deny it.
Black metal.
Oh man!
But actually, you know what? I just thought of something. I think what would be a cool episode, or we could talk about it right now for like a question and a debate. Out of the big 3 extreme metal subgenres that grew out of thrash, which is the most, quote, extreme? Black metal, death metal, grindcore. And
black metal.
Which, whenever you think extreme, there's a lot of different definitions to it. Like, when I think of what out of those 3 is the most extreme, it's all about the music. Not so much the image or the lyrics, more the extremity behind the music. And if I were to go, with that, like if I were to stick with that definition, I would have to say grindcore would be the most extreme because they push the limits of the speed and the aggression. Whereas death metal, you could argue, more extreme in terms of songwriting, because you got a lot of different bands that incorporate prog, technical, melody, jazz, classical.
Whereas
black metal, you could argue it's more extreme in terms of how much emotion gets put into it, and as well as the lyrics.
Actually, I would say musically, black metal is probably the least extreme of those 3. I mean, there's so much atmosphere, melodies, folk, and beauty found in most of its subgenres. Of course, there's still war metal, I mean, which can be pretty extreme, but in contrast to grindcore and some of the more brutal subgenres of death metal, it's pretty tame in contrast.
And especially in recent years, since they have made a bit the jump to try and combine black metal with opera. I
mean, the only thing that used to be extreme about black metal, at least about the music, was the production. Which
and the lyrics.
But I mean, when we talk about the music, but I think the production, the bad DIY production,
lo-fi sound
added a lot to the extremity of the genre.
And you could argue
the image. And the imagery.
And the image.
I was gonna bring up the imagery.
Yeah, but then again, you have pretty extreme imagery in death metal and grindcore, maybe even more so with all the surgical themes.
But that's different. I mean, you would have pretty tough imagery in death metal, especially with all the album covers. I mean, we can talk about the Vincent Locke's Cannibal Corpse albums. Yep. We could talk about
the early
Carcasses,
collage covers.
Exactly, but If you want to talk about some of the more extreme imagery at the time, I mean, who before the black metal bands would go, okay, King Diamond, Sarcophago, and all that stuff, but they were going on full-on corpse paint, black and white album covers, or using paintings for those album covers. I mean, look at the Bathory album covers, especially Bloodfire Death and which one?
Hammerheart.
Under the sign of hell.
Under the sign of Black Mark.
Hammerheart. Under the sign of Black Mark. I'm sorry, but every extreme genre has brought something. Grindcore has brought the speed. Death metal has also brought the intensity to it. Black metal brought the imagery. But in terms of more extreme, I would say grindcore.
Yeah.
But if you were to argue out of the sub-genres of those three, the most extreme out of them all, brutal death metal or gore grind.
Yeah.
And they're almost like long-lost cousins, so to speak, because with gore grind, especially in the early days of gore grind after Carcass released Reek of Putrefaction, you saw all these bands pop up like General Surgery, Regurgitate, Dead Infection, Hemorrhage from Spain, among so many
Necrophagus.
others. No, they were death metal and they were before Carcass, but like the bands that followed what Carcass did on Reek of Putrefaction just tried to push it further in terms of the absurdity behind the lyrics. Yeah, there were a lot of bands that were considered Carcass clones at the time. Like General Surgery, in my opinion, out of the early ones was the best because they were the ones who actually diversified what they were doing by bringing in that Swedish death metal guitar tone. After all, their EP Necrology in 91, which might be on the Demos EP list of mine, was recorded at the same studio Entombed Left Hand Path was recorded at by Thomas Scottsberg. And also it has Maddie from Dismember on vocals and bass, so there's that connection there. But then later on, whenever you would hear the term Carcass clone, it would be more bands copying or taking inspiration from Symphonies of Sickness, Necroticism, and Heartwork, and putting it into their music. And the big two out of that, Impaled and Exhumed. Particularly Exhumed being the bigger one of the two, because Matt Harvey's just such a musical genius.
It's a bit the same thing when you hear about in video games like the Doom clones. Doom became the biggest video game of all, then all the other games like Quake and so many others, they tried to copy what Doom did before.
Yeah, whether they did a good job or not, but like
that's debatable.
But yeah, like in the case of with the newer Carcass clones like Exhumed and Impaled, it's like what Exhumed does, and one of the reasons why I like them so much, is that they incorporate the more lo-fi sound, especially on the album Slaughter Cult and Gore Metal, their debut. It's so rough around the edges, it's so good. But Impaled, they have a little bit of a cleaner sound, so they were more or less taking inspiration from Heartwork, production-wise, and bringing in some of the melodies and the guitars. And vocally, what Impaled does is so unique. 3 vocalists, which to me was unheard of for death metal, because you got one guy, Sean McGrath, who does guitar and vocals, who does the more Jeff Walker higher register. You got whoever's on second guitar doing the more Bill
I'll be back
Steer.
in a moment.
Okay. And then you got one guy who's the other guitarist, whose lineups change, does more the mid-range Bill Steer growl. And then bass player Ross Sewage doing the more brutal death metal, putrid low gutturals while playing bass. And it's so cool. Especially that song I sent on the Facebook chat to you guys, Choke on It, from their 2002 album. It's everywhere. And what's cool about the music video, they were paying homage to the Necroticism album cover from Carcass, where they all died a different way. Like, one died from drinking poison, one died from drowning in water, one died from being asphyxiated by being choked to death, and then one died from suffocation in a plastic bag. So it was a pretty funny music video. But that's gore grind for you. Brutal death metal, I would argue, is the most extreme out of every sub-genre because vocally, it takes the concept of vocals as an instrument to the most comical extremes. I mean, you look at the big bands out of brutal death, like early Cannibal Corpse, Suffocation, Dying Fetus, Broken Hope, Cryptopsy, taking those vocals and bringing them all the way down. And then music-wise, bringing in the brutal aspect by how making it sound very percussive because the drum rhythms are very, very catchy and fun, like the constant double bass and extreme blast beats, some thrash beats thrown in there. And it introduced,
right back.
Well, then again, breakdowns was introduced in thrash by like Creator and Anthrax and Slayer. They brought in the idea of doing the mid-tempo, halftime dun 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 parts, where brutal death metal took it even further, thanks to Suffocation on that song Liege of Inveracity, and sure enough, it spawned a sub-genre of brutal death metal called slam death metal, which I'm not as into because it's mostly nothing but jun 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 jun. Like I like it when it's just a part, but not the entire track. There are very few slam bands that can do it well, like Internal Bleeding, Devourment, and that's really it. Like, every other slam band, I think, is not that great. Like, Cephalotripsy, Abominable Putridity, I feel are very overrated. But with brutal death metal, and also lyrically, gore, or just very extreme political imagery, depending on the band. I mean, you look at a band like Suffocation, whose lyrics go all over the place, all about anti-religion, the grave, or anything to do with military stuff. Well, no, I'm thinking of Internal Bleeding when I think of the military imagery, but...
Yeah.
But regardless, I think brutal death metal, out of all the sub-genres within extreme metal, is the most extreme because of the vocals, the instrumentation, and also, particularly in Suffocation, they're very progressive-oriented in the way they write their songs. A lot of people don't use the term prog to describe Suffocation, but when you look at how their songs are put together, it's prog, because they don't go verse, chorus, bridge. It's all over the place.
Prog-ish.
Maybe not in terms of the music, but in terms of how the song is put together, is what I think makes them somewhat of a prog band, because they use prog structures, but a lot of technicality you can find in brutal death metal. Well, then again, brutal death metal, I would say, splits. You got this side that incorporates more of the breakdowns and the slam parts, and then you get this side, which is the more technical-based brutal death metal. So I would say the big bands on the slam side would be, as I brought up, Internal Bleeding, Devourment, Abominable Putridity, Cephalotripsy, Pathology, I think are the big ones on the slam side of brutal death metal. Technical side of brutal death metal, which I prefer because their music's that much more interesting: Suffocation, Dying Fetus, Cryptopsy, Deeds of Flesh, Defeated Sanity, Malignancy, and arguably the biggest out of them...
Decapitation?
I wouldn't call them brutal death metal. I consider them more prog death grind. But the big one on the technical brutal death metal side, Nile. So...
Oh yeah, for sure.
But death grind is up there in terms of one of the more extreme sub-genres, because there you get Aborted, Cattle Decapitation, Terrorizer, arguably the Godfathers, Modern Napalm Death, so much. And then, of course, blackened death metal, I would argue, is up there too, because, you know, Behemoth, Belphegor, Akercocke, even though they're also very proggy, Angel Corpse, and And even the subgenres of black and death, like war metal and melodic black death with dissection and sacramentum, and then war metal with blasphemy and piety and archgoat and beherit.
It's just the whole.
It goes everywhere. It could go on forever, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the most extreme of the black metal subgenres would be war metal, because they go black metal, death metal, grindcore, noise, everywhere. But then again, war metal, I feel, is very limited, because so many bands in war metal sound a lot like one another. Like Revenge, sounds a whole lot like Blasphemy. Proclamation sounds a lot like Archgoat,
supposedly they want to put Bolt Thrower on that category, even though the only thing that connects Bolt Thrower to war metal are the lyrics.
Yeah, not music.
No. Let's see. Let me get another question.
So
when y'all do your
So real quick, most extreme subgenre of grindcore, gore grind. Most extreme subgenre of death metal, brutal death. Most extreme subgenre of black metal, war metal. Even though some would argue war metal's closer to death metal, some argue it's closer to black metal. That's a whole other, or bestial black metal with bestial warlust and those kind of bands, and piety, which I need to check out their new album. But anyways, Ricky, now that we've gone through that can of worms,
when y'all do your list, how do y'all each do your list? Is there a way that y'all do your list? Is there a process you do? Because I think some people do it differently. I mean, how do
we all do it differently?
Yeah, we all do it differently.
For me, when I do a certain list, like when we did, let me try to think of an episode we did. When we did the thrash metal albums episode, that one, for sure, when I started, I knew the top 5, which they were going to be unbeatable, which is going to be Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax. Those 4 albums, they're surely going to be there. After the top 5 is when things start to get tricky, because you start looking, the impact this album had on the
albums from a certain scene, Yeah, considering thrash as a whole is probably one of, if not the biggest subgenre in metal in terms of how global it's become.
And also, and when I do my list, sometimes I like to look at other people's lists. I like to look at YouTube videos. I like to Google things. I'm like, see what the consensus is at times, because there's some options that I'm like, why is there on the list? And I look at it, I'm like, this makes sense. That's all what I was doing with my list. I don't know how y'all do your list. You start at the very bottom.
Mine is a little bit similar to yours. I like to see some of the other lists, but more times than none, I like to add my own personal taste to it.
Yeah, that's basically what I do. Like sometimes, especially on just things that come naturally to me, like top 10 thrash metal albums, I already had a good spectrum made there. But yeah, I would do the same thing, watch other people's videos to kind of get a perspective from others, but also put in what I like the most. Hence why I say I think I had either in the top 10 or in the honorable mentions an album from Demolition Hammer, because I feel they don't get enough credit for creating thrash metal in the early 90s that was much more extreme and brutal in the American scene than even Slayer, because what they did was they incorporate death metal rhythms, thrash metal riffs and speed, and black metal vocals, because it was so raspy and high, kind of like early black metal. So that's why I like Demolition Hammer so much. But yeah, for me, it's all about personal taste, but also getting perspective from others to see where they come from in terms of whatever it is we're talking about. Or sometimes I'll come up with stuff off the top of my head, and sometimes that bites me in the ass, because there will be stuff I'll forget. So
yeah. And you, Hannah?
Well, I usually brainstorm and browse my iTunes library, to see whatever I find fitting for a certain topic, for a certain list, and then I write it down. And but I also check out other people's list videos or whatever. And Metallum, the Metal Archives, are a very important inspiration for most lists. Yeah. And so on. I really like their rating system, although it doesn't make sense all of the time.
Especially some of the rating reviews you see that are totally dumb.
I agree.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's a good reference if you if you're not that familiar to a certain genre or to a certain topic. I'm not a big fan of death metal, and I had to browse a lot of lists and so on, and listen to a lot of albums. I mean, Bandcamp is sometimes a nice option to discover stuff for a list and so on. But mostly it's brainstorming and my personal iTunes library.
Yeah. And another good thing. Oh, go ahead.
I had the same trouble when we did the folk metal episode. I knew a bit of folk metal, but I really had to
dig deep.
To look at
I did. I had to dig deep too, because funny enough, the subgenres of metal that I'm the least familiar with are folk metal, power metal, and symphonic metal. And I need to get into more of that, because I don't know why. It just never caught my attention like other styles did. But another good thing.
Maybe it wasn't such a big influence there in the States. I mean, here in Europe, especially Germany, power metal is big.
I mean, it's a big institution at most major festivals. I mean, you can't go to a festival like Wacken without encountering a folk metal band. They even have thematic stages where folk metal bands play exclusively. And it's a big thing here, but it's also rooted deeply in our culture. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say with Metallum, another pretty useful thing, especially when discovering bands, is to similar artists, especially for although we do this game, which we might actually do here in a little bit, where we try and guess the top 5 most similar artists to a certain band. And it's so fun. We might actually do that on here in just a little bit, but that's another useful thing, especially when discovering bands. Like hell, I would argue that I wouldn't have discovered a band like Woods of Ypres without looking at Agalloch or Typo Negative on Metallum. So
yeah, it's funny when you discover a band out of nowhere and you just instantly hooked to that band because you're like, holy shit, they're amazing. You start listening to them. You start you gotta check this out. They're amazing.
And then you're like, how haven't I discovered them sooner?
And here's the other important factor that is a blessing and a curse: the use of the internet now. Because when the internet as we know it now, when it started in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, it was kind of scary, especially with the Napster days, where you could just illegally download stuff, which there are still people that do it. I'll admit, I still kind of do it, but not to have the whole album, but just for, a project of sorts. I eventually do go out and get the actual albums, but also, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, especially considering how the internet is nowadays, where it's so much easier to discover stuff. Whereas before the internet, you had to dig into magazines and tape trading back in the day just to even hear about newer bands.
Which was a hell of a system.
Was a hell of a system for sure. And I wish I could have wished that I had a time machine. I wish it was invented so I could go back to the 80s and get all these tapes and have them here and listen to the tapes as they came out. But the good thing with the internet is you can discover more and get into more than you ever could back in the day.
And this is especially true for bands from exotic quotation marks locations. I mean, you can easily listen to music from Russia, from South America, even from Africa, from Indonesia, everywhere, and you can get your hands on that stuff, and it's great, especially if you're more into a folkier kind of music, to hear different cultural influences and so on. That's very interesting, at least in my opinion.
That's true.
Yeah, that's probably why there are a lot of people that like metal, because you would never expect a certain band to play a certain style of music in an unknown place. Like, for example, I didn't know there was some good ass black metal in South Korea. So I'm like, wow, like holy shit, that's amazing.
Or
To
death
think
metal
that
bands from Indonesia, of all places.
Mm-hmm.
Or thrash metal bands from Japan.
That was mostly thanks to the banger DVDs when they came out. I mean, global metal. Thanks to global metal, I actually discovered some bands that I haven't listened in a while, like Sick from Japan. I listened to some of the black metal that came out of China. It was brutal, and even some of the Israeli stuff, besides, of course, Orphaned Land and Melikesh.
Yeah, like Salem, yeah.
Apsu, and all those others. Whoa!
Yeah, and with the whole, now we're talking about banger. When I first started getting into black metal, I think I saw the documentary Headbanger's Journey in 2012, I think, and they did the Norwegian black metal scene. That was my first introduction to the Norwegian black metal scene. From there, I learned the history of what happened, the albums, and as time went on, I began to appreciate what at that time was something revolutionary, which became chaotic, and now is looked upon in terms of metal as one of the best and worst scenes that ever happened in metal. Because, of course, good thing we got this amazing albums, amazing artists, we got legends.
And then the worst thing is the stereotypes of how everybody's a Satanist and they'll all burn churches down and kill each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, like I said, every scene in metal has its goods and bads. Even the death metal scene
has had their thrash metal scene too. Yeah.
Yeah, even thrash metal, folk metal, new album. Every scene has its good and bads, but probably the one scene that always intrigues me the most was early 70s punk. That was
England,
like one of those things that
and America too.
Mostly
England, but in America, yeah, like
England.
The Ramones and Patti Smith.
Yeah, it's just amazing that how much a scene can actually change the landscape of an upcoming scene. Like right now, I don't know what's quote unquote popular in the metal scene. I think one of you can say, but I don't know. I mean, I think the one thing I've known over the past couple of years has been a revive of all these different subgenres. Like, for example, we got a huge revive of thrash metal, we got a huge revive of death metal, death doom, we got a huge revive, even in black metal, which black metal for a time got stale, especially in the early 2000s. Yeah, so it came back, especially, I think, with Watain, Lawless Darkness. I mean, that album, I think, to me, was the beginning of a new revolutionary black metal phase, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like one could argue that, especially in the 2000s, where early 2000s, where nu metal was still big, metalcore was becoming huge gradually at that time. In the underground, one could argue that the genre that flourished the best in the 2000s in the underground was brutal death metal, because, and to be honest, out of all the extreme subgenres, brutal death was the one that grew the best and got stronger as the decade went on, whereas traditional death metal lost some traction during the decade, but brutal death metal just kept growing. And honestly, like, it was the only one that was flourishing without having the underground call them sellouts, like the symphonic black metal bands. Like, a lot of people did not like what Dimmu or Cradle were doing at that time by doing the symphonic
they still
black
don't
thing. And they still don't forgive
still
him for it, but I like it. But
And yet, Celtic Frost was already diving into the symphonic stuff.
Way
Emperor
back.
was doing the
way back.
exactly, and Emperor was doing the exact same thing, especially with the more organ-based keyboards and such. And they are, I mean, Celtic
and they're
Frost is
revered
usually
as
more,
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I mean-
no. But usually Celtic Frost is more revered than Emperor because many people still believe that it was thanks to Emperor that the hipsterish black metal scene that started out in the Seattle stuff came from, which is not true at all.
Just look at every band that's ever existed. Every single band has changed their sound one way or another. For example, Iron Maiden. The first 2 Maiden albums, as much as Steve Harris doesn't admit it,
We're very
Steve,
punky.
I love you. I love you to death, but they're punk. I'm sorry, but they're punk. After the Number of the Beast, we got more
Punk and
heavy.
metal at the same time.
After the Number of the Beast, we got more into a heavy metal style. Or look at Metallica. The first 4 Metallica albums,
Thrash.
thrash. Then we got the Black Album,
Which is more
a
traditional heavy metal, and then you get to
Yeah.
Load and Reload, which
True.
is more blues based. Saint Anger,
And then they went back to the thrash.
and then Death
ex-
Magnetic and Hardwired. They more or less combined everything of the first
But
5 albums.
you forgot one thing, Ricky. You said about the quasi-punk of the Paul Diano era and the full-on metal era of Bruce Dickinson, but you forgot one small detail.
Blaze Bailey, yeah. Forgot.
No,
Blaze Bailey.
no, not Blaze Bailey, because Blaze Bailey was a little bit heavy metal too, but the post Dance of Death era where Iron Maiden became
Yeah.
prog.
Yep.
Yeah. for
That you could argue
After
there-
Post-Dance of Death, yeah.
Where you could argue the prog element started all the way back at Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
Yeah, true,
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
the
see,
po-
and then you get like Judas Priest, who started off more hard rock. Then Sad Wings comes out, and they become the definitive metal band of the '70s after Sabbath. Then the '80s come around, and they go everywhere: pop-oriented hard rock, fast speed metal, and then that glam metal album or hair metal album with Turbo. And then they get to Painkiller, where they go full on speed. Then you get Ripper Owens coming in, they become a little bit more radical sounding. And then you get Halford back, and they go back to the old school vibe. And then Nostradamus having more symphonic power metal thrown in there. And now they're back to their early 80s, early 90s style
With,
again.
with
Firepower.
Redeemer of Souls and Firepower.
Firepower,
the point
especially.
the point I was trying to make is that as fans of the music, there's some people that don't like change.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I mean, an example that we talked about before we started was Over. The first 3 Over albums were regarded as 3 of the best black metal albums in the Norwegian black metal scene,
But-
even though Over was technically after the whole church burnings and the death of Euronymous.
And the second album is a folk album. It's not a
Yeah,
black metal album. It's a
exactly.
folk metal. It's not even a folk metal. It's a folk album.
Exactly. The true Norwegian black metal fans regard those 3 as like untouchable, and then everything after that they consider it shit. They consider it bad.
And that's even funny because not even the trilogy is pure black metal. It's just, I mean, I love those albums. Even the Kvaldesacker, the folk album. It's just so hypocritical.
Yeah.
But and look right now, with both the death of Julius Caesar, the most late album,
I love that one so much.
and right now with the Flower of Evil,
It's
you might say
lovely.
yes. People are gonna be like, they so loud, they're hypocrites. Yes, they sold out. They sold out every single copy in their store. Every single copy. That's how
The
good it
Jason
was.
Newsted reference right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Classic.
thing with Ulver, I mean, they have changed their style so often, and
Exactly.
I wouldn't consider any of those style changes a sellout or anything like that, or going to mainstream. I mean, it's exactly the opposite. Usually, when bands are successful, they stick to a certain formula, mix up a few things here and there, but not change their style so drastically as Ulver.
Look,
I mean, whatever they've done, black metal, prog, rock, folk, drone, now the synth pop stuff. A normal band that is simply there for the money wouldn't do that.
And this, here's a guarantee: if a new person listens to a new Over album and they like it, they're probably going to be like, "Let me check the rest of the discography."
What a surprise!
And they find that surprise that the first 3 Over albums were black metal, and they're like, "This is interesting. I really like it." And then they find out about these other bands that were black metal. So it's a good thing that some bands go mainstream that way to get new audiences. It's a gateway to different bands, to the subgenres. So it's not with the bullshit that they sell out. Even though we sometimes don't agree with it, bands need to change, because some bands, if they stay the same,
they're going to get stale.
Exactly, they're gonna stay still.
There are very few bands. There are very few bands who can stay the same style and still be good. And I would say
AC/DC. That's probably the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, well, in terms of Slayer, despite that one,
Diabolus in Musica. There we are again.
But I was gonna say. But I was going to say, perhaps the best metal example of a band that's not changed or changed very little but still kick ass, Overkill.
Yeah, Overkill.
I could say also that Bolt Thrower never changed their style.
Well,
Creator changed their style after Violent Revolution a bit, and they've been kicking ass lately.
Well, I would say with Creator, like, the first album was a little bit more proto-black thrash. Then you get to Pleasure to Kill,
Sodom's in the Sign of Evil.
Yeah, and then Pleasure to Kill having a little bit of death metal thrown into the mix because it was so fast and intense. And then you get to God, I'm trying to remember what was the album in '87.
Como Souls.
No, that was '90. I'm trying to. To Metallum, because I for some reason cannot.
Metallum or Google.
I cannot remember the title of their album from '87. Terrible Certainty, and then Extreme Aggression and Coma of Souls, more straightforward thrash. Then after that, they get a little bit industrial and gothic throughout the '90s. Then you get to Violent Revolution to now, where they incorporate more Iron Maiden melodies into the thrash.
Like, I consider Como Souls, like, in their early stuff, their best. The early stuff. Right now, the best is still Goddess of Violence, and I'm still hoping that they release an album next year, even though they released a new song.
Allow me to disagree, but Phantom Antichrist still is a lot better than Gods of Violence.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, Gods of Violence and Phantom Antichrist are close, but to me, Gods of Violence, since I was the album that got into Creator a bit more, a bit more personal for me. But Phantom Antichrist, phenomenal album. But Creator, I like it. I mean, that Creator. Gods of Violence, I like it a bit more.
Same here. But yeah, like with Bolt Thrower, it's a little interesting. Like, the death metal element was always there from the beginning, but like the first album, there was some grind thrown in there. Then you get
in battle there is no law.
Yeah, in Battle there is no law. And then you get to Realm of Chaos, where it gets heavier. There's still some grind in there in terms of the blast beats, but then you get to War Master, and that's when they become just pure, straightforward death metal. And then Fourth Crusade being a little bit closer to Death Doom, and then back to the straight up death metal through the rest of their career.
Mercenary also went in a little bit of that. Mercenary also went in that semi-death metal kind of way because it had more groove to it, and widely considered by many Bolt Thrower fans as their least favorite album or the worst album in Bolt Thrower's career.
And even
I
that, it
disagree,
sounds, and even if that were the case, it's still a great album.
Yeah,
that's true.
But
even when it comes to lineup changes, I mean, sometimes like lineup change is a good thing.
yeah,
As
because
much
it
as
can
you-
be a big
yeah, as
shot
much
in
as
the
you don't
arm.
like it,
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, the biggest lineup change in the history of metal, Ronnie James Dio replacing Ozzy Osbourne in Black Sabbath. To this day, there are people that said Ozzy or nothing, which I'm like, first of all, Black Sabbath ain't Ozzy, it ain't Dio, it ain't Butler, it ain't Geezer,
It's
Iommi.
Tony Iommi, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only half. I only half agree with you because Iommi is Sabbath and so is Geezer because Geezer and Iommi were the main songwriters of most, if not all, Black Sabbath songs.
Yeah.
And remember who were the band members that stayed there from the very beginning? Always Tommy, and always Geezer.
So it's not with the whole Ronnie James Dio versus Ozzy dilemma. They're both amazing. Stop it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Iron Maiden. Paul Di'Anno, Bruce Dickinson. They're both amazing.
In their own way, yeah.
Even Blaze. I even agreed that Blaze was great, but he only could work with what he was given to work, which was not much.
Yeah.
And still, he made a very decent job. Same thing. Oh, Ripper Owens. Ripper Owens and Judas Priest. I mean, Ripper Owens, live, he sings like a goddamn banshee. I mean, his own interpretation of Metal Gods from the live Demolition records, it's amazing. Nothing against Alfred. He is amazing by its own, but what was wrong with Ripper Owens? Nothing. They found him playing cover songs in Phoenix, and he eventually became a hell of a vocalist. But it's sometimes what happens, you only can work with what you're given to work. And with Blaze Bayley and Ripper Owens, they weren't given that much.
Yeah. And funny enough, they were both only on 2 albums, respectively.
So was Paul Di'Anno, and he was given a lot more to work with than Blaze Bayley.
But if I were to say the one lineup change that I felt definitely jumped the shark, and I've not really been into them as much since, and that's Derek Green and Sepultura. To me, Sepultura is always Max Cavalera, because he and Igor started the band when they were teenagers. It's not the same without them. Granted, the new album, Quadra, is really damn good, but to me, it's not Sepultura without the Cavaleras. Because it's their band.
Many are still in the same defense force as you do.
Yeah.
Because after Roots, that to me, like, it's no disrespect to Derek Green. He does a good job with what he's capable of. The new album proves that he is a good fit. But it's just not Sepultura. If only they could have renamed the band to something else and let Max and Igor carry on with the Sepultura banner, then it wouldn't be so much a problem.
That is always the problem with some of this stuff. It's always the band rights. Black Sabbath's band rights. Who owns them today? Ozzy. Sepultura's rights. Who owns them today? Andreas.
And he wasn't even an original member either.
Exactly. And look at what happened. Look at what's happening right now with Nervosa. Fernanda, who was the founder of the band, she split. She's now creating Crypta. But who owns the rights to the Nervosa name? It's Prika. It's a guitarist, and she had a whole lineup, and she had a whole new lineup on it.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a trend around here. Brazilian bands disbanding and the guitarist taking over the name.
Yeah, and what's funny And what's funny, if you ask me, who if not the Cavalieras, the only other person who could take the Sepultura name rights is Paulo Jr., the bass player, because he's literally the only original member that's still in the band.
Yep.
A good scenario for this is like the show. Like all 5 of us, we all have a piece. 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. We all decide what goes on, what happens, what doesn't happen, what we talk about, who to bring, and all that. It like for some weird reason, God forbid this happens, one of us decides to live the show indefinitely. They're still gonna be contributors to the show because they were a part of the show and created what's going on. Even though they might be not as active, they're still contributors.
Yeah.
That's what I think with sometimes with bands that had like Ozzy. Like, I'm sorry, but Ozzy just doesn't. He has a portion of Black Sabbath, but like I said, mostly the Black Sabbath name belongs to both Iommi and Butler, mostly because they've been there since the very beginning. They have been through every hell and back, every single lineup. They deserve more of the cut. With Ozzy, everything that he has done solo, it's all his.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it depends how things are created at the very beginning. Sure, at the very beginning, it's all for one for all. But as egos go by, the more money you make, people change.
Yeah.
As hard to say, people change.
But now that we're with that, let's get to that game. Time to guess for Metallum. And I got the perfect one to begin. So for everybody to try and guess top 5 bands on the top 5 similar artists to Sodom.
Creator.
Let me guess.
Creator number 1. Destruction number 3.
Tankard.
Nope.
Exodus.
Nope.
Holy Moses.
Nope.
Tormentor.
Nope.
Blasphemy.
Nope.
Accept.
Nope. So far, you guys have got Creator and Destruction, which is 1 and 3 respectively. So you're missing 2, 4, and 5.
Is this gonna be a line Slayer?
Number 2.
Oh shit!
So you're missing 4 and
Venom?
5. Venom number 4, missing number 5.
See. Celtic Frost.
One hint, we talked about them just a bit ago.
Futura.
Yep. It's Creator, Slayer, Destruction, Venom, Sepultura, the top 5. The rest of the top 10, it's Motorhead, Hellhammer, Toxic Holocaust, Bathory, Possessed.
All right, my turn.
Yeah, pick a band and I'll figure it out.
Let's see.
Do you have the page up?
Yeah, I got it.
Sweet.
Ooh, I got it. Let's go with Primordial.
Bathory.
Bathory number 1.
And I was just on their page a couple days ago, and now I can't even remember.
Kruachan?
For Primordial.
Kruachan.
Oh, Kruachan.
Kruachan number 6.
Yeah.
And
What?
Enslaved.
Enslaved.
Enslaved number 5.
Solstifier?
Number 4.
In the Woods.
Way down. Nope.
Oh.
Sour.
Nope.
Moon Sorrow?
Number 3. You're missing number 2.
And I know it's an Irish band, and I can't remember the name.
It's not Kruachan, which
Nuh-uh.
is...
I don't know. I forget.
Let's see if I can pronounce it. Mael Mordra. That's the name of the band. Mael Mordra from folk doom metal band from Ireland.
All right, time for me to pick the next one. Let's.
Or let's let Hannah pick one.
Oh yeah, we'll let Hannah choose.
Wait a minute. What about enslaved?
Oh.
Enslaved.
Bathory.
Agalok.
Yeah, Bathory number 2.
Opeth.
Agalok.
Opeth number 5.
Borknagar.
Yeah, number 1.
So we're only missing number
Emperor?
4.
Emperor?
Number 3. So you're only missing number 4.
Damn it.
Are they
Damn it!
Green
folk
Carnation.
metal?
Nope.
Damn it.
Windeer?
Yes.
There we
So
go.
basically it's Borknagar, Bathory, Emperor, Windir, and Opeth.
All right, Artur, you got a band?
Yes, I do. I'm going folk.
Oh boy.
Ensifurum.
Oh,
Falkenbach?
Wait.
Troll.
Falkenbach. No.
Elevati.
Number 4.
Winter Sun.
Number 1.
Oh, how could I forget Winter Sun? King of Asgard.
Nope.
To
Wait,
be
guys. Number 3. You're missing number 5 and number 2. And Hannah, you must know this because I'm going to give the clue. The second one is German.
Equilibrium.
Yes.
Mm,
The last one I don't think anyone knows. It's called Bremir.
Nope. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
me neither.
But number 1, Winter Sun. Number 2, Equilibrium. Number 3, Turisas. Number 4, Elevati. And number 5, Bremir. Next.
I'm trying to think here.
I have
We're
one.
gonna go to. Get this out of here. Let's go to Hooded Menace.
Oh, okay. Bell Witch.
Nope.
Summoning.
Nope.
Winter.
Number 7.
Aspects.
Number 1.
Autopsy.
Number 5.
Autopsy.
Number 5. So you're missing 2, 3, and 4. Which
Oh,
I
most
honestly don't think any of you guys will get these 3.
What was the
Paradise
band?
Lost.
No, Paradise Lost is in the top 20, but
Backthrough Voice.
top 20, but not top 5.
No, I give up.
Tap.
All right, so number 2, Acid Witch. 3
No.
Coffins,
Oh.
and 4 Rune Magic.
Don't know Rune Magic.
Rune Magic actually
Alright.
listened to an album of theirs and wasn't that great, but it wasn't bad.
Alright.
Oh yeah.
My turn. I'm gonna go with. Let's go with Immortal, but I'm gonna exclude Demonos and Abbas since they're both on the list. So I'm gonna exclude them both.
Okay, Inquisition,
So number 1,
Mayhem,
Mayhem is number 4, but being that Demonos and Abbas are 3 Mayhem is number 5,
okay,
but Demonos and Abbas are 3 and 4, so they don't count.
okay.
So keep going.
I.
Number 2, number 2. You're
Bathory.
missing 3 more. Yes.
Dark Throne.
Bathory.
Dark
Bathory, Dark
Throne.
Throne. You're missing one more.
Oh man.
Satyricon?
Satyricon. Yeah. The original 5 is Inquisition, I, Demonos, Abath, and Mayhem. But I exclude...
I should have been excluded as well because it's another Abath project.
Well, yeah, I didn't know about that, but that's why I exclude Demonos and Abath. I was like...
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
They were the more obvious ones.
Yeah, but if I would have excluded I, the next band would have been Gorgoroth.
All right, Henna.
What about Electric Wizard?
Oh God.
Sleep.
Yeah, number 1. what a question.
Let's see.
Cathedral?
Okay,
Yeah, number 3.
This is gonna be a long shot. Melvins?
No.
I'm going for
Sabbath. Black Sabbath.
Black
Number
Sabbath.
2.
I'm gonna go for a bit of a long shot here, but Caius.
No, surprisingly not.
Not even in the top 20.
Nope.
Huh.
Nope.
Uncle Acid?
It should be there, but I don't see them. No.
Cathedral.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we already said that. Number
you already
3.
said Cathedral. Okay.
Um,
So we got Sleep, Sabbath, Cathedral. So we're missing 4 and 5, I guess.
Yeah.
this is a long shot, but I doubt it. Paul Bearer?
I don't see them. No. I mean, it's a bit tricky. I know them, but should I just reveal number 4?
Yeah, I give up.
I
I give up.
And number 4 is Windhand, and number 5 is Acid King.
Yeah, I
Nope.
wouldn't have gotten
No.
All right, Artur.
Pretty close to the top 5 are Weed Eater and Yob.
Yeah.
And Orange Goblin.
I have
Not the president, the band.
Oh man.
man.
I have one. Malakesh.
Oh, son of a
God.
bitch.
Oh shit.
Or Fate Band.
No. That's okay. Not going Malakesh. I'm going Rhapsody of Fire.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Excluding the two rhapsodies that exist, which is Luca Turilli's and let me see.
Blind Guardian.
I'm out. I'm excluding Luca Turilli's Rhapsody and Luca Turilli himself. So go Blind Guardian. Number
Glory
number
Hammer.
4.
Glory
Symphony
Hammer.
X.
Number 2.
Angra.
Way down.
Twilight Force.
Way down.
Stradivarius?
Non-existent.
Sonata Arctica.
No.
Damn.
Not here.
Halloween?
No.
Avantasia.
Thankfully, no. Not on the top 5. Shall I?
Might as well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Excluding Luca Turilli and Luca Turilli's Rhapsody. Ancient Bards, Glory Hammer, Pathfinder, Blind Guardian, Fairyland.
I wouldn't have gotten many of those.
No, me neither.
I know.
The Avantasia exists, but it's way down. And above Avantasia, Christopher Lee. Saruman himself.
All right, time for a big one. Behemoth.
Oh!
Blasphemy.
Belphegor.
Belphegor number 2. No blasphemy.
Watain.
Sorcery.
Nope.
Really?
No Watain?
No Watain?
Not even in the top 20.
Migwa?
That's some bullshit.
No
Mia-
Migwa. No Mayhem. Hate number 1.
Hate.
So you're missing 3,
Venom?
4, and 5.
Venom?
Nope.
Fader.
Number 5.
Vader.
so you're missing 3 and 4.
Septic Flesh.
Number 4, so you're missing number 3.
Uh,
And I feel like...
Mayhem?
Morbid Angel?
No, Morbid Angel's actually
Mayhem?
number 8.
9.
Nile, number 3.
Yes!
So it's Hate, Belphegor, Nile, Septic Flesh, Vader, top 5 to Behemoth.
how can you not have Watain? I mean, they're so almost similar.
Not
They-
quite.
They don't have
Oh,
it.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
my turn. Let's go with. Let's go. This is gonna be a bit of Artur's neck of the woods. Let's go with Power Wolf.
Oh, good
Oh!
lord. I'm not gonna get any of these.
Ghost?
Lone Wolf.
Ghost. No. Lone Wolf is number 2, 4, 6, 8,
Halloween.
10. Halloween. Nope. Surprisingly, no.
Sabaton.
Sabaton!
Number 1. Sabaton number 1.
Okay.
Primal
Missing-
Fear.
Primal Fear number 4. You're missing 2, 3, and 5.
Dragon Force.
Dragon Force. Nope. No Dragon Force.
Hammerfall?
Hammerfall. Way down. Way down.
Dream Evil.
Number 3. Number 3.
Grave Digger.
Number 2. You're missing number 5. You're
Running
missing
Wild.
Number 5. Number 6.
Ah, damn it.
God damn it, I'm bitch! Damn it!
Alright, I'll give you a hint. They're German, and they're a power speed thrash metal band.
Power Speed Thrash.
Prophecy?
What would you say?
Prophecy?
Mystic Prophecy. Yeah, Mystic Prophecy.
I knew that there was a prophecy there somewhere.
Yeah, so it's Sabaton, Gravedigger, Dream Primordial, Mystic Prophecy. Surprisingly, Ice Earth was a number 8.
Yeah, I was thinking them. I was starting to think Heist Earth. Alright, Henna.
Original Batushka.
Oh, fuck.
Excluding the 2.
Excluding
or
the fake
whatever.
Tushkas.
The thousands of Batushkas that followed afterwards.
Wait, even the Mexico one?
Yeah, even the Mexican one.
Okay,
Migwa.
okay. Migwa,
Yeah, number 2.
Wada,
Number 4.
Mayhem?
Nope.
1914?
Nope.
1349?
Yeah.
Nope.
Rotting Christ.
Nope.
Damn it.
I don't think I'm gonna get any of
Don't know.
Yep, I give up.
these. Yeah, I give up
What?
too.
Well, number 1, Cult of Fire. Number 2, Migwa. Number 3, The Ruins of Beverest. Number 4, Uada. Number 5, Death Karma.
No, I would have never gone Death Karma.
Alright, Artur.
I'm going. Samael.
Rotting Christ.
Oh.
Triptychon.
Number 1.
Celtic
Whoa, easy.
Frost.
No, Rotting Christ, number 1.
Celtic Frost.
Trip. Number 2.
Septic
Triptychon.
Flesh.
Triptychon? No. And Septic Flesh? Number 6.
Pain.
Ah.
Number 10.
Damn.
Mm,
Master's Hammer.
Number 8.
Oh,
Hellhammer?
Nope. I'll give you a hint. Number 4 is Portuguese.
Moonspell.
Moonspell?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
spell. The Covenant.
Number 3, only one missing.
Tiamat.
Oh,
Number 6.
fuck.
It's a band that I don't know myself.
Yeah, I probably don't know either.
Number 1, Rotting Christ. Number 2, Celtic Frost. Number 3, The Covenant. Number 4, Moonspell. Number 5, a band from Switzerland, Alastis.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that. All right, let's
Septic
see.
Flesh is Septic Flesh is number 7, and Master's Hammer is number 9.
I'm trying to think of a good one. Let's go to another big one. Carcass.
Napalm Death.
Number 2.
Death.
Nope.
Brujeria.
Nope.
Terrorizer.
Really?
Terrorizer's down on the list.
Mm.
At the Gates.
Number 3. And funny enough,
Arch Enemy?
Nope. Funny enough, the 3 remaining bands I brought up early in the episode.
At the Gates. At the Gates.
Artur already said At the Gates.
Exhumed.
Number 1. So you're missing 4 and 5.
Repulsion.
Nope. Oh, what, Hannah?
Repulsion.
Number 7.
I give up.
Steel Panther.
Oh, good lord. No, number 4, Impaled. Number 5, General Surgery.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's go with the whole grindcore stuff. Let's go with
man.
Brujeria.
Oh.
I'm excluding number 1, which is Asesino. It's the same band, just with different members. So I'm excluding number 1.
Okay.
So
Napalm Death.
Napalm Death.
Number 2, but it's number 1 for this occasion.
Okay, Fear Factory.
Number 6, but it's number 5.
Carcass.
Terrorizer.
Carcass Terrorizer. She's missing one more.
Brutal Truth.
No.
Damn it!
Repulsion.
Repulsion. Yeah.
Mexico Cabron.
Mexico Cabron. Mexico Cabron,
Anna,
damn it.
Shoot another one.
I one myself.
I have one. I have one for Artur specifically.
Oh,
Death
boy.
Heaven.
Oh God.
Hell no!
I'm not gonna get any of them.
I
No.
know that Death Heaven is your favorite band, Artur. Just agree that it is.
I don't agree to anything.
Then in that case, let's go with Avantasia for Hannah.
I'm going. No, I'm not going Avantasia. I'm going to surprise Ricky with another one. But
All right, hit me. Hit me.
the one band that you said that you couldn't believe existed in my country.
Corpus Christi.
Okay, not going Corpus Christi, because there are some of here that no one knows. But now, honestly, I'm gonna shoot a big one, a Monomarth.
Unleashed.
Let me see. Number 1, Unleashed.
King of Asgard.
Enslaved.
Whoa, easy. King of Asgard number 2, Enslaved. Nope.
Enemy.
What?
Arch enemy. She
Arch
said.
enemy.
Way down.
At the gates. Dark Tranquility.
All them way down.
Death Clock.
Battery.
Number 3. Battery, non-existent.
In Sephirum.
And Sephirum, way down. I'll give a hint for number 4. He used to be on Pain.
Oh, Hypocrisy.
Yep.
Well, he's still in pain. Not literally, but...
Nah. And the last one, probably...
Cataclysm.
Yep. Cataclysm. No. Number 6.
I gotta think
But it starts with a K.
Starts with a K. Kalma?
Yeah.
Katie.
Kalma. Number 1, Unleashed. Number 2, King of Asgard. Number 3, Deathcloak. I mean, why? Hypocrisy number 4. Kalma number 5.
And I thought it would be Katie Vick.
Wow. I'm trying to
That
look
was
up...
way left. Way off.
Sorry, I missed a bit.
Let's see here. I'm gonna go to... Fuck. What the hell? Why am I so blanking right now? Let's go to Morbid Angel.
Ultimas.
Nope.
Really?
Cannibal Corpse.
Nope.
Obituary.
Nope. Way down.
Possess.
Number 7.
Immolation.
Yes.
Number 2. Who should be number 1 if you ask me, because they're so similar.
Vital Remains.
Number 9.
9.
9. Deicide. Fuck.
Number 3.
Vader.
Blood.
Number 1, Vader, so you're missing 4
Vader,
and 5.
Vader.
Blood Red Throne.
Nope.
Pestilence.
Nope. Pestilence is down
I give
on
up.
the list.
I give up.
Tap.
Alright. Number 4, Nocturnus. Number 5, Angel Corpse.
To go. See you
Oh.
next time around.
Oh yeah.
Alright, well, we'll see you soon.
Right. Well.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah, I
Buenos
think
dias.
I think it's a perfect timing to end.
Yeah, probably. So, I guess that will end this stream. So, we went on for almost 2 hours. We'll be back hopefully in a week or 2 before I go on my cross-country trip to do top 10 British bands. But until next time, horns high, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.
Jackass.